holding a sleek, shiny smartphone in your hand. Now imagine that hidden inside is something so powerful it could start and stop World War II. Sounds far-fetched? Let me introduce you to the true protagonist of this story, TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. This isn't just a tech company, it's the lifeline of modern electronics. From powering your phone to controlling advanced fighter jets, TSMC chips are everywhere. But there's more. This company sits at the heart of a geopolitical battle between the world's biggest superpowers. Let's uncover the story of TSMC, the company that's rewriting history. Chapter number 1. The importance of TSMC. Semiconductors are the building blocks of modern technology. Without them, your smartphones, laptops, washing machines, and even military equipment like drones and satellites wouldn't function. Now consider this. TSMC produces 60% of the world's semiconductors and 90% of the most advanced chips. That level of dominance makes TSMC irreplaceable. It's the engine driving industries worth trillions of dollars. Think of semiconductors as the oil of the 21st century. Everything depends on them. But unlike oil, which can be extracted in many parts of the world, semiconductors are much harder to produce. Why is TSMC so dominant? TSMC's chips are marvels of engineering. Each one is smaller than your fingernail and contains billions of transistors, tiny switches that control the flow of electricity. Building these chips requires precision so high that even a single speck of dust can ruin an entire batch. This isn't just manufacturing, it's art at a microscopic level. Here's another mind-blowing fact. TSMC and Samsung are the only companies capable of producing 5nm chips. TSMC alone produces 92.5% of these advanced chips, while Samsung handles the remaining 7.5%. It's a monopoly unlike any other. Chapter number 2. Why China can't catch up. China, often called the world's factory, can produce almost anything, yet it's falling behind in semiconductors. The gap is widening despite China's massive investments in its semiconductor industry. China's top chipmaker, SMIC, Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation, can only produce 7nm chips. These chips are slower and less efficient than TSMC's 5nm chips. On paper, this difference may seem small, but in reality, it's massive. For instance, performance 5nm chips are 15 to 20% faster than 7nm chips. Military advantage. Faster chips give the US an edge in drones, fighter jets, and satellites, keeping them ahead of China in critical defense technologies. Why can't China close the gap? The problem lies in EUV lithography, an advanced technology used to make cutting-edge chips. This technology is controlled by ASML, a Dutch company that holds a monopoly on EUV machines. Each machine costs $150 million, and without it, you can't produce chips smaller than 7nm. In 2020, the US imposed sanctions on China, preventing it from acquiring EUV machines. This has left China stuck, unable to advance beyond 7nm chips. The sanctions are a strategic move, ensuring that China's military will always lag behind in critical technology. Chapter number 3. The birth of TSMC. TSMC's story is one of vision, resilience, and genius. It all began with Morris Chang, a Chinese-born engineer who immigrated to the US in 1949. Chang studied at Harvard and MIT before joining Texas Instruments, where he revolutionized the way microchips were made. In the 1980s, Chang proposed a radical idea. Instead of companies making their own chips, why not create a company that specializes in chip manufacturing? His idea was dismissed in the US, so Chang moved to Taiwan, where the government gave him a blank check to build a semiconductor industry from scratch. Chang's vision was clear. He didn't aim to create the best semiconductor designs. Instead, he focused on perfecting the manufacturing process. This decision turned TSMC into a global powerhouse. Chapter number 4. How TSMC became unstoppable. Building a semiconductor isn't just hard, it's a masterpiece of precision. TSMC factories are 10,000 times cleaner than hospital operating rooms. Even a single hair or speck of dust can destroy an entire batch of chips, causing millions in losses. TSMC's employees are trained like soldiers. During Taiwan's frequent earthquakes, engineers are known to return to work within minutes to ensure production isn't disrupted. This level of discipline and commitment is why TSMC is unmatched. TSMC also pioneered a unique business model called foundry services. Instead of designing its own chips, TSMC focuses solely on manufacturing. This allows tech giants like Apple, NVIDIA, and Qualcomm to design chips, while TSMC handles production. Chapter number 5. TSMC and global politics. The geopolitical chessboard. TSMC's role in geopolitics is akin to a pawn that can transform into a queen. Its importance transcends technology. It's a critical element in the balance of power between the world's two largest economies, the United States and China. TSMC and the US Alliance. The United States depends heavily on TSMC for its defense systems, consumer electronics, and AI development. Chips manufactured by TSMC are critical for military technology. Advanced fighter jets like the F-35 rely on semiconductors for navigation, communication, and stealth capabilities. Artificial intelligence, AI systems like those used in defense and surveillance demand cutting-edge chips. Silicon Valley giants, companies like Apple, NVIDIA, and Qualcomm design chips but rely on TSMC for manufacturing. To mitigate its reliance on Taiwan, the US passed the CHIPS and Science Act in 2022. This This act allocates $52 billion to establish domestic semiconductor production. It's a move towards self-reliance, but it's not an overnight solution. Even with billions in funding, matching TSMC's expertise and efficiency will take decades. TSMC's expansion to the US. TSMC is investing $12 billion to build a semiconductor manufacturing plant in Arizona, which will begin production in 2024. This move is strategic. For the US, it ensures a domestic supply of advanced chips in case of a Taiwan-China conflict. For TSMC, it secures its relationship with American tech giants and the US government. However, there's a catch. Even if TSMC sets up factories in the US, replicating the efficiency and precision of its Taiwanese operations is challenging. Taiwan's ecosystem, with its skilled workforce and supply chain, is irreplaceable. China's dilemma. China is in a precarious position. Despite its animosity toward Taiwan, it cannot afford to sever ties. Here's why. China's economy depends on TSMC. From Huawei smartphones to electric vehicles, Chinese industries rely on TSMC chips. Strategic vulnerability. A disruption in chip supply would cripple China's tech sector, pushing it further behind in the global race. China's ambition to reunify Taiwan under its One China policy collides with its dependence on TSMC. This creates a paradox. China needs Taiwan's resources, but asserting control risks global retaliation and economic sanctions. What if China invades Taiwan? The possibility of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan raises chilling questions. Could the US and its allies protect Taiwan? And if not, what happens to TSMC? Former US National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien suggested a drastic measure: destroy TSMC to prevent it from falling into Chinese hands. He compared this to Winston Churchill's decision during World War II to sink the French fleet to keep it out of Nazi control. Such a scenario highlights TSMC's dual role as a strategic asset and a potential liability. Its survival is tied not only to Taiwan's security, but also to global stability. Chapter number 6. Lessons from TSMC, a masterclass in strategy. TSMC's story isn't just about technology, it's a blueprint for how a small nation can achieve global influence by focusing on its strengths. Here are the key takeaways. Number 1. Specialization as a superpower. Taiwan didn't try to dominate multiple industries. Instead, it focused on one niche, semiconductor manufacturing, and became the best in the world. This laser focus enabled Taiwan to create a monopoly in a critical industry. Countries like India, which aspire to become global tech hubs, can learn from Taiwan. Instead of spreading resources thin, they could invest heavily in one high-tech sector, such as AI, renewable energy, or quantum computing. Number 2. The power of visionary leadership. TSMC's success wouldn't have been possible without Morris Chang's vision. Chang's decision to focus on manufacturing rather than innovation was counterintuitive but brilliant. By perfecting the production process, TSMC attracted the world's top tech companies, which rely on it to bring their designs to life. Governments and businesses alike can learn from this. Success isn't always about reinventing the wheel, it's about doing one thing exceptionally well. Number 3. Creating an ecosystem. TSMC's dominance isn't just about its factories, it's about the ecosystem Taiwan has built around them. This includes a skilled workforce, engineers trained to operate in environments 10,000 times cleaner than a hospital, supply chain integration, a network of suppliers and partners that ensures efficiency, government support. Taiwan's government provided funding and policy support to nurture the semiconductor industry. This ecosystem is what makes TSMC irreplaceable. It's not just a factory, it's the beating heart of global technology. Number 4. Balancing global relationships. TSMC's survival hinges on its ability to navigate complex geopolitics. By maintaining relationships with both the US and China, it has positioned itself as an indispensable player on both sides. This balance is delicate but critical. Countries and companies can learn the importance of diplomacy in a globalized world. Strategic partnerships can create opportunities while mitigating risks. Number 5. Preparing for the future. TSMC isn't resting on its laurels. It's investing in 3-nanometer technology, which will further widen the gap between it and its competitors. This forward-thinking approach ensures that TSMC remains at the forefront of innovation. The lesson: always stay ahead of the curve. Whether you're a business, a nation, or an individual, continuous improvement is the key to long-term success. TSMC isn't just a company, it's a symbol of what's possible with vision, focus, and determination. It's the backbone of modern technology, a cornerstone of geopolitics, and a masterclass in strategy. As we navigate a world increasingly driven by technology, the story of TSMC serves as a reminder that small nations and companies can achieve big things with the right mindset. But it also warns us of the fragility of our interconnected world, where one company can hold the key to peace or war. TSMC's journey is a testament to the power of innovation and the importance of staying focused on what matters most. Its chips may be small, but its impact on the world is colossal.